How you doing, guys? Back for a video. Since my channel's sort of moving more towards my more major interest as opposed to beer and booze, which is movies, I thought I'd do a little video. Well, this might turn into a long video because I got quite a few movies in front of me here, but it's just sort of what I've been purchasing in the last year or so, especially since I connected my bank account to PayPal and, you know, started blowing all kinds of money online buying movies that I've been wanting for years. So I thought I'd just show off some of my purchases over the last year or so. And yeah, we'll start with sort of crime dramas, stuff like that. I haven't I guess I haven't done one of these sort of videos in several years. I think I did a DVD collection video like years and years ago on my channel, but that was about it. So I felt it was about time to do an update. But anyway, yeah, crime dramas, my sort of second favorite genre after sort of like horror and stuff. So I'll show you the first one here. Mud with Matthew McConaughey from a couple years ago. I think it was 2013 this one is. Really good. It was sort of a return to form. Well, not return to form, but comeback movie for McConaughey. I guess he was doing this right around the same time he was doing Lincoln Lawyer and Killer Joe. A bunch of roles that sort of, and also Dallas Buyers Club and stuff too. So sort of his comeback trail. And I really like this. Really good sort of southern gothic noir kind of thing going on. Really, really good. He plays a sort of a shifty drifter who befriends a couple kids, and really good look at the sort of the lower half of the poverty line. So families and stuff in that situation and how they exist, and the sort of characters that come from that sort of area. Pretty good stuff. Got myself a couple of, well, actually 4 what I consider absolute classics. A couple of them are Fritz Lang films. We got the what do we got here? The Testament of Dr. Mabuse, which is it's also sort of a supernatural film at the same time. There's been a whole series of these films, but this is probably the best one for my money, because it sort of introduces a supernatural element to the film about a master criminal who is locked away in a mental asylum, but it seems like he might be astral projecting his consciousness into other people and continuing to commit crimes and keep his crime empire going, which is quite an excellent concept for a film, especially considering the decade it came from. It was like 1930s, I believe. Yeah, 1933. So really, really great film. I really love that one. The other Fritz Lang one I have is, of course, M with Peter Lorre, which is, you know, if you don't know what M is by now, then you really haven't watched too many great movies in your life, I'm afraid. This is a fantastic fucking movie. Commentary on criminals and how modern society treats criminals. All about sort of like the ethics of the death penalty and whether an insane person is criminally responsible for what they do. And Peter Lorre here, he just presents a pathetic and scary character at the same time. Absolutely fantastic performance, and it's a great, great film. And we got 2 Orson Welles ones here. For my money, the 2 best Orson Welles films, at least films starring Orson Welles. So first we're going to go with The Third Man. Orson Welles' iconic Harry Lime character in this one. Fantastic noir film. Joseph Cotten in it as well, of course. And it's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's one of those films that's like a perfect film. There's like just basically no flaws to it. Note perfect all the way through. Orson Welles' best performance, I think. even though he's, you know, not even in most of the movie, but absolutely one of the most mesmerizing screen villains ever. And here's his second best performance for my money from Touch of Evil, where we have Charlton Heston playing the Mexican. And hey, he does a great job, even though he's not convincing as a Mexican, but fantastic. This is essentially the last of the classic noir films. It was in 1959, I believe it was. Am I correct? 58, 59, somewhere around there. But it's essentially considered the last of the classic era of the noir films. And hell of a fucking classic go out on. This is the restored version, by the way. It's the well, it's got three versions. It's got the restored, the theatrical, and the preview version. And the restored version is an edit that sort of follows the screen notes, sort of this large memo that Orson Welles sent to the producers of the film, where he wanted it changed around to his liking. So they've basically used old footage that was cut before and rearranged some things to try to make it fit Orson Welles' notes on the film. And so it's about as close as you can get to what Orson Welles actually envisioned in this film, and it's quite a revelation, especially when you watch the theatrical and the preview, comparing it to the restored version. And it's pretty goddamn good. Alright, now we got some really good classic crime films here that I want to show. One, I don't know if maybe you can call it a crime film, but I'm going to include it anyway because it involves criminals and bad guys all basically thrust into a really desperate situation, and that would be William Friedkin's Sorcerer, which is, for my money, one of the top 10 movies of all time. Absolutely love it. It's a remake of The Wages of Fear, and it's a far superior film than The Wages of Fear. Roy Schneider in this one, and they essentially it's essentially all these desperate characters in South America find themselves driving two trucks with nitroglycerin in it, unstable nitroglycerin, through the jungle, and they got to try to get those trucks to a certain place because it's basically their ticket the fuck out of South America. And so really great tension. The tension just, if you're looking for a textbook example of how to do suspense and tension in a film, just look at this film. Look at the scenes where they're trying to go across this rope bridge with these big fucking trucks, and you know, just trying to get them across. It's absolutely fucking crazy. Fantastic film. James Caan in Thief, Michael Mann, one of his early films. Really good crime film about an obsessive character. James Caan's character is a very obsessive sort of guy, very obsessive personality. Can't, you know, sort of kick the habit of being a thief. And of course it's got all the really great technical details that Michael Mann is known for. He's always pretty famous for hiring on ex-criminals and experts in crime to get the details right when, you know, he's showing like robberies going on, and you know, breaking into banks and shootouts and stuff like that. He really gets his technical stuff down, so you can always sort of depend on that in a Michael Mann film, even if his films sometimes are not necessarily the greatest dramatically. This is a really great one though, really good character study. We got Gene Hackman, who was the fucking boss in the 1970s, right there with Donald Sutherland. They were sort of two of the bigger names in the 70s who were just doing everything. Night Moves, which is a great detective film. Gene Hackman, sort of a detective who is basically butting heads with an era where his sort of detective isn't wanted or needed anymore. He's sort of an old style kind of detective, and he basically spends the film running around chasing his tail. Instead, he's trying to solve a case, but he essentially chases his tail and is in the dark throughout most of the film because he can't deal with the situation he's thrown in, because he's just not the right guy for the job. So, but it's a great performance, great film, kind of sad and tragic almost in a way. And here we go, The 7-Ups, another Roy Scheider film, and this is a follow-up to The French Connection and Bullitt. Same people made those films, made this, and it's a film about a special task force in the police force who, you know, sort of bend the rules to catch criminals, and eventually it kind of gets them in trouble because some of the criminals start to catch on and go after them. So really, really good. It's got one of the best car chases. You can argue it's actually probably better than the car chase in Bullitt and in French Connection. Although half the chase in the French Connection, of course, is also a foot chase as well. But yeah, really great crime film, awesome film. And two more, sort of for the crime drama ones. Michael Mann's Manhunter. I don't really need to say too much about that, I don't think. Classic film. This is a shitty fucking version, though. This is the, I was just sort of hunting through on the internet to try to find a great version to get. And this is the Anchor Bay version, I believe, is it? Is this the Anchor Bay? Yeah, it is, the Anchor Bay version. And, man, not not suited for 16:9 televisions, let's put it that way. Fucking narrow on the screen. That 2.35 to 1 is glaring on my fucking widescreen TV, my Sony Bravia. But still a great film, and I'm glad to have it. My favorite Hannibal Lecter, Brian Cox in this one. Tom Noonan is the Tooth Fairy serial killer, really great performance, and of course it's got everyone's favorite motherfucking William Peterson from CSI. So there you go. And here's one of my favorite Nick Cage films, Red Rock West. Just a little film that sort of flew under the radar and has been largely forgotten, but it's an awesome crime film. Nick Cage he's basically a drifter who gets mistaken for a hitman, and he sort of just sort of lets himself fall into this sort of dueling role as a hitman, where first he's sent to kill this guy's wife, but she gives him a counter proposal and says, hey, you go back and kill him and I'll pay you more money. And of course Dennis Hopper, as you see right there, he's the real killer, he's the real hitman, of course, and he runs into town, so he complicates shit. Really great film. And they all just fell on the floor. It's awesome. Alright, some westerns that I've gotten lately. Here's some from Blue Underground. They did a couple midnight movie, basically, I think triple packs. I think they were all triple packs. This is their spaghetti western one. It's got a bunch of, what's his name? Thomas Milan, yeah. This is the one that sort of features Thomas Milan. He's sort of in all these. And he's sort of a, I guess, second tier kind of spaghetti western actor. He was a pretty famous actor in his day, right up there with Fabio Testi. But he was just sort of, you know, he was doing all these sort of second tier spaghetti western films, and he does a really great job. Campaneros, which has one of the most catchy and annoying fucking theme songs ever, and then you got Fulci's Four of the Apocalypse, which is really great. It's a really surreal kind of horror spaghetti western almost. And then you got Run Man Run, which is a bit more comical, centers around the Mexican Revolution. Of course, Campaneros also does well. Really, really fun films. I'm probably going to cover a couple of these when we do our Spaghetti Western Month on They Must Be Destroyed on Sight. I think I'm going to pick one from this film. It's probably going to be... shit, I'm thinking it's going to be Four of the Apocalypse, because I want to get Paul in on that one, so that'll be good. And then we got The Great Silence. Hell yes, Jean-Louis Trintignant I can't even pronounce his last name, fuck that shit. But Klaus Kinski as well. Klaus Kinski's best spaghetti western performance, and one of the most somber and sad spaghetti westerns ever, because it defies the expectations of the viewer, has a downbeat sad ending, and it's just highly stylish and looks great, and great performances, and it's, you know, it's one of the better spaghetti westerns ever made. Sergio Corbucci, who is sort of the, after Sergio Leone, he's sort of the guy as far as spaghetti westerns go. He was the director who was making the most interesting ones. He also did Django, of course. But this is his masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. Just so much going on in this film, and it's great. And we got another one here with Klaus Kinski in it. Not quite as good, A Bullet for the General, but it's still a pretty decent one. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a pretty fun one. It's one of the more notable spaghetti westerns. We might do that one. Alright. Yeah, this is going to be a long video, guys. We're going to go into some of the miscellaneous stuff that I got. First ones I'll show off here are Venture Bros Season 2, the second volume of second volume of Season 4, which took a long time getting that one, and of course Season 5, and I think Season 6 is already gone and come and gone, but they haven't released it on DVD yet. But love the Venture Bros, pretty much the only cartoon I really watch, so incredibly funny. Great for geeks like me who love all the old shit of my childhood, you know, Johnny Quest, everything from Johnny Quest to fucking all the old cartoons and superhero in-jokes and all that other shit. Really good stuff. We got Kagemusha, Akira Kurosawa film, of course, one of his later ones from the 80s. This one focuses around a guy who is used to impersonate a major lord who dies. He's essentially brought in to impersonate the guy, a warlord. Really good film. Very long. Not for everybody, but I like it quite a bit. Here we got a pack from the sort of Corman series that was released by Shout Factory. This is the Sword and Sorcerer collection. I got a bunch of the other Corman ones, of course, but I wanted to pick this one up just because some of these movies are kind of hilarious. The Deathstalker 2, Barbarian Queen, and The Warrior and the Sorceress. The Warrior and the Sorceress is the most notable one, I think, because it's got David Carradine, and it's actually kind of decent. The rest of them are just kind of excuses to put tits and swords on the film, on the screen, and you know, they do a decent job for that. But honestly, Deathstalker 2 is actually kind of fun. It's actually really fun. It's almost a parody film. Barbarian Queen is kind of garbage, but hey, there's some tits in it. Whatever. You can't go wrong with that. Too much, anyway. And speaking of tits, picked this one up. I picked this one up because of the sex comedy series. But it's just one of these budget things MGM put out with, hey, let's throw 4 of our movies on it and see what happens. Hot Dog the Movie, The Party Animal, which we covered on our sex comedy series, and then it's got Meatballs 4 with Corey Feldman, and Weekend at Bernie's, which is a movie of much higher caliber than the other 3 movies on this, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, pretty good. And then we have Rounders. I love this film. Classic film, I think. Matt Damon and Edward Norton, just when they were sort of becoming big stars. And, you know, it's got, yeah, it's got John Malkovich as, you know, putting on his most overbearing, terrible Russian accent ever, but somehow he sells it and it works really well. And it's just all about card sharking and being, you know, getting involved with the wrong people while playing cards, getting highly in debt. I quite enjoy it quite a bit. Give your man his money. And we got Mickey Rourke and The Wrestler. I like that film quite a bit, being an old school pro wrestling fan. There's a lot of stuff in this is very sad and very hard to watch, and very true in the same way. It's kind of a dramatized version of Beyond the Mat, essentially. And Mickey Rourke does a great job in it. He sort of plays I wouldn't quite say Hulk Hogan character. He plays more of maybe a Shawn Michaels character who's over the hill. You know, and then he has a heart attack, but then he has to make a comeback, and because he's an obsessive character, you can't leave the life, which is kind of a sad truth with a lot of professional wrestlers. Even when they go over the hill, they still can't leave the business. They still have to keep going back, because either they're just obsessed with it, or they've made bad decisions in life and they have no money, which is part of the reason in this one for this character. So, good stuff. And of course we have Conan the Barbarian, Arnold Schwarzenegger, John Milius. Of course, it's not a very good adaptation of the true Conan character, but it's still probably overall the best big screen adaptation of Conan, although Jason Momoa did a much closer to the actual character in his film, but his film kind of sucked. But yeah, there you go, Conan the Barbarian, classic film, great soundtrack, and yeah. And finally, as far as the sort of regular movies and dramas and stuff, The Wanderers. I just got this recently. This is most recent purchase. Love this film. Gang movie about Bronx gangs from 1979, and it was about 60s gangs. Somewhat mythologized, you know, made to look a lot more exciting and special than they actually probably were. But it's a nice little sort of slice of life kind of film, slice of an era, historical kind of film. And it's a lot of fun, great performances. Man, it's got an early Karen Allen performance. And man, was she fucking smoking back then, man. Holy crap. One of the most attractive faces I've ever seen on a woman. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. And yeah, pretty good film. I liked all the gangs, really colorful characters and stuff like that. Probably going to review this one at some point for the podcast. Alright, and fuck, we're going 22 minutes here already. But at least I'm not shooting it on the HD camera, so don't really have to worry too much about this being 80,000 gigs. And we're going to go into the horror purchases. Alright. So like I said, I've been buying a lot of stuff online. I'll go through my stuff I've been getting from Shout Factory / Scream Factory first. And then I guess I'll move to whatever else I got here. Just gotta sort through this shit. There we go. Alright, so nice little four pack from Shout Factory, Scream Factory. I guess this is on the Shout Factory label. But it's got 4 films, cult movie marathon. It's got Invasion of the Bee Girls, which is kind of fun. The Devil's Eight, which kind of blows, honestly. It's a substandard version of the original Inglourious Bastards, essentially. Unholy Rollers with Claudia Jennings. That's pretty much the only selling point on that film, is Claudia Jennings getting naked. She was pretty hot in her day. And Vicious Lips, which is kind of a unique film, I'll say. Pretty interesting. Sort of a sci-fi film about a intergalactic rock band. Yeah, might review that at some point. Alright, and we got a couple of these. What I like about sort of Scream Factory / Shout Factory is a lot of times, so at least they were for a while, releasing these combo packs of DVD Blu-ray, so you could still get and they didn't cheat you. You get to get the special features on both discs, so which is really cool. Nowadays you have to have a Blu-ray player, blah 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 blah. I'm a little drunk, sorry, to get special features now on some of these discs. but not with Scream Factory and Shout Factory. The only real bonus you get on the Blu-ray disc is the fact you get the better print, and that's it. But here we go, Town That Dreaded Sundown, absolute stone fucking classic. Love this film. We did review that one for the podcast, so if you're interested in hearing what we thought about that one, go to tmbdos.podbean.com or you could actually find it on this YouTube channel as well, the YouTube version. But it's also got Charles B. Pierce's The Evictors on it as well, which is pretty awesome. Pretty fucking awesome. It's got Vic Morrow and Michael Parks in it. I mean, what else can you ask for? And it's actually a pretty cool little film, kind of underrated. So then we got a double pack here, Terror Vision and The Video Dead. The Video Dead kind of blows. Good zombie effects, but the concept is just shitty and it just goes all over the place. But Terror Vision is really awesome. Fun little sort of spoof B-movie. Cheesy effects. Mary Warnoff in that one. And man, I like it a lot. You know, it's got Garrett Graham in it as well. And it's just really fun. It's in the vein of like I don't know, Eating Raoul and some of the Paul Bartel stuff as well. It's sort of close to that in a lot of ways, sort of the Corman stuff. Really like it. They basically, this family sets up their antenna to get all the satellite fucking channels, and this alien civilization beams their pets once they get too big and dangerous through energy waves off their planet, and apparently it bounces right into their dish and it basically transforms out of their TV screen and starts eating people. Pretty good stuff. Fun stuff anyway. And what do we got here? Tobe Hooper's The Funhouse. Underrated film, I think. Probably one of Hooper's best, probably Hooper's second best after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, honestly, in my opinion. Really good stuff. Freakish goings on in a carnival. Some pretty menacing stuff in this film. Although once the killer's unmasked, he kind of looks fucking goofy, but that's one small flaw in the film, which is otherwise really great. Yeah, I like that one. Good atmosphere in that film. Say what you want about a lot of Hooper's films, he does sort of capture that evil, nasty, hillbilly sensibility better than Rob Zombie could ever hope to. And we got two John Carpenter films here, and two that I've been wanting to have in my collection for quite some time. First, I'll show this one first. Halloween 2. There you go, bitch. How about that shit? Halloween 2. You can play that back to back with Halloween 1 and basically one really great long movie. This has the theatrical and the television cut, and it's got a couple good audio commentaries. It's just fucking loaded out the brim. Really, really good. Really great job by Scream Factory on this one. And of course it's got the like all the Scream Factory films, it's got the reversible covers. Like you can take the sleeve and reverse it. Let's see here. See, like there's the new cover, and of course I reversed it, and it's got the old original one there. So I like that stuff. That's just, you know, a little extra juice for the horror geeks like me. And here we got Prince of Darkness, which is another underrated film, which I think demands revisiting from people, because it was just unfairly dismissed back in the day, because it was kind of weird. It was weird. It was a genre mashup. It sort of went through, sort of mixed like religious kind of horror with like Lovecraftian stuff and a little bit of fucking quantum physics and stuff thrown in as well. None of it actually makes any sense or jives with reality at all, but it's a really fun little mix. Like, Carpenter just threw a bunch of shit in there and he made it work. And of course it's got Alice Cooper for like 5 minutes. And of course, again, you can get the original cover. You can just flip it, sleeve, right? Because there you go, behind the disc there you can probably see Prince of Darkness, that cover. So, but yeah, glad I got those ones. Those were ones I wanted in my collection for quite some time. Holy shit, we're at 30 minutes. This is gonna be a long video. If you're still watching at this point, thank you for watching. I think this is almost longer than my original just look at my DVD collection from years ago, and I'm not even looking at nearly the same amount of DVDs, but I guess I'm just rambling on about them a lot more. So I picked this up. It's just a cheap little thing, one of my favorite Scream Queens, Linnea Quigley, Deadly Embrace, Nightmare Sisters, and Murder Weapon. I'll admit fully that I only got it for Nightmare Sisters because, of course, it's got her and Brinke Stevens and Michelle Bauer getting naked in a terrible movie together. So, there you have it. Murder Weapon and Deadly Embrace are just fucking weird. The print quality on these are absolutely fucking terrible, by the way, but they do all have commentaries. So, you know, you lose a little here and you gain a little there, because these are all, what's his name, David Ducatu films. Whatever, however the fuck you pronounce that dude's name. But, yeah, David Ducatu or Ducatu or whatever the fuck you say his name is, who now basically makes a much more gay-orientated cheapy horror films, but back in the day he was throwing tits on the screen all the time. And yeah, the commentaries aren't exactly great either, but you know, whatever, it's just trash cinema stuff. It's fun. It's fun to throw on and drink some beers and watch. A couple anthology things here, just to finish off my Amicus anthology collection, because I wanted to make sure I had all of them. So we got Torture Garden, which has a pretty fucking goofy wraparound story. Honestly, it doesn't really work too well, but it's got Burgess. It's probably got the most star-studded cast that any of the anthologies have, as far as, you know, more Hollywood-centric star-studded cast, because it's got like Beverly Adams, Burgess Meredith, and Jack Palance in it. And I mean, there you go. Good. The actual stories in it are pretty good though, so it's definitely worth. It's one of the better Amicus ones. Then we have one that isn't an official release. This is one I got off eBay. Basically, a guy who basically does sort of a professional job at making DVDs, burning DVDs, and doing his own packaging and menus and all that stuff. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. This is one basically it's really hard to find on DVD. I think there's maybe some Blu-rays out there floating around and some really substandard DVDs floating around. But yeah, this guy that I got it from on eBay does professional fucking work, and it's great. It looks really good. There you have it. Looks really good. It's one of the better Amicus ones as well. Of course, at the same time, it does have kind of a goofy wraparound story too, but I mean, at least it's got Peter Cushing playing Dr. Terror. So, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I got a Hammer collection here, 3 horror classics, Dracula, Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, and Frankenstein Created Woman. I have Dracula Princess. Actually, I didn't have any of these ones. That's why I picked this one up. Yeah, I didn't have any of these 3. So there you go. Christopher Lee is Dracula. Some guy who kind of looks like Christopher Lee is Dracula, and Peter Cushing is Frankenstein. Susan Denberg, wearing very little clothing. Can't complain there. Frankenstein, the Monster from Hell. Of course, another Peter Cushing one. Awesome, awesome film. Great monster in this one, I must say. One of the better looking monsters in the Hammer Frankenstein series. And then we got 2 Lucio Fulci films. The Beyond, fucking fantastic. Of course, typical of Fulci style. It's very dream logic based. Does not make a lot of sense if you're trying to follow it logically in, you know, the real world or anything like that. But very atmospheric, great gore effects. Makes no fucking sense at all, but it's a beautiful film. And then The House by the Cemetery, which is one of the more frustrating Fulci films, because there's just points where it's just so bad that it's good, and points where it's so great, and of course it makes little sense. Again, the characters in it are all incredibly fucking stupid, but you can't deny the great gore effects and some of the tense moments that it creates, and it's just a whacked out fucking premise as well. So there you go. Picked up Dog Soldiers. Not my first choice as far as DVD versions. This is a pretty shitty print, honestly. I'm going to try to get hold of the Scream Factory one. See if I can buy a copy. I'm probably going to have to pay a fucking inflated price for the Scream Factory one, because it was a US only release, but I'm determined to get that one, because this kind of... It's nice to have the movie, but the print on this just stinks to high heaven. And finally, we'll just wrap up here. Another Hammer one here, 8-film collection, Hammer horror series. It's got a couple more obscure Hammer films. It's got like The Brides of Dracula, Curse of the Werewolf, Night Creatures, which is pretty interesting, Paranoiac, yeah, there we go, Paranoiac, which I haven't watched. It's an Oliver Reed film. Kiss of the Vampire, Evil of Frankenstein, Nightmare, and Phantom of the Opera, their version of Phantom of the Opera. So a couple of these I haven't seen. I haven't gotten into them yet, but that's why I picked it. And I mean, fuck, you got Oliver Reed as a fucking werewolf, big gray hairy werewolf. There you go. And this cheap ass fucking horror thing. This is close. This is pretty much close on par to that Linnea Quigley thing as well, as far as the prints go, because most of them are just fucking VHS rips. But it's got 8 films in it for fucking bottom of the barrel prices. So 976 Evil 2, Waxwork, Ghoulies 3, which is awesome. I love Ghoulies 3. I don't care what anyone says. The Unholy, which is actually kind of interesting. Chud 2, which is absolute fucking garbage. Chopping Mall, which is kind of fun. I think some people kind of overrate it as a well-loved cult classic, though. The uncut version of Slaughter High, which has Carolyn Monroe in it, and she was like 30-something at that point, playing like an 18-year-old, or I believe, something along those lines. Kind of an interesting slasher film with a shitty finish. And Class of 1999, which is just exploitive, crazy robot teachers shooting young punks stuff. Kind of fun, but not great. Alright guys,